Well, hello, it's Friday and good evening. Welcome to Stramash, the show for all things Scottish and Scotland sport. And for those of you with greenhouses out there, well, I hope you like doing jigsaws. It's fairly windy out there. So this week anyway, we'll go through the Euro results for Scottish teams, the quiz, the curling Euro Championships and this weekend's games. But to start, we've got from Glenn the hangover quiz question, which was, Glenn?
Yeah, maybe it's not suitable for a hangover kind of thing. I don't know what your guys are like with a hangover. I couldn't do these questions. Right, the one you left over from last week was, which footballer holds the record for the most appearances in World Cup matches for Scotland with 9? So which footballer, the record for the most appearances actually at World Cups and playing matches there, and he's got 9. Who do you reckon it is, guys?
I've had to think about this over the week, and my initial thoughts has to be Dalglish, just because he's been in quite a few World Cups. But then I'm thinking, was he ever injured? And then I'm thinking, goalkeepers, they don't get injured that often, and I can't really remember who the goalkeepers were, but I've got a funny feeling a goalkeeper might just have eclipsed Dalglish. But I don't know who it was. If it is the case.
You're going with Dalglish, but in the back, your backup plan is a goalie.
I think one of the goalies might just have pinched it from Dalglish. Yeah.
Good shouts. What about yourself, Chris?
I mean, I would have just. I don't ever remember Dalglish. He caused a few injuries with the size of that hin he's got, but I don't ever remember him being injured. And it, as well, I mean, if I was going down the keeper route, I mean, Scotland, even Henry Smith was involved at one point. So I think with that many good keepers, that I don't think it could be late. And I'd need to go with Dalglish. Aye.
It's good guesses, but David, your hankering for a goalie was right, and you shouldn't have dismissed Leighton. It's him. 9 appearances over 3 World Cups. Is it really? It's the longevity, really, isn't it, of the goalkeepers? I mean, I think Leighton played into his 40s. And look at Craig Gordon now. I mean, he's obviously missed out on tons of tournaments because we didn't qualify, but he'd have racked him up had we, had a team that were reasonable enough to have to get to tournaments. So that was last week's questions. First one to kick off this week would be 4 Scottish male players have been the European Cup / Champions League season's top scorer. 2 playing for Scottish clubs, 2 playing for English clubs. But who are those players and their clubs? So that's 4 Scottish male players have been the European Cup or Champions League season's top goal scorer. 2 played for Scottish clubs doing it, 2 played for English clubs. Who are those players and who are those clubs?
Ali McCoy, I think.
Aye, got to be Mr. Aye.
That's one.
The only other club would be Celtic,
Frank
I think.
McDougall.
Frank McDougall for Aberdeen, cracking player. No, it didn't make it.
Two for English as well. So, well, I mean, I think I'm going to take a timeshare out on him. Kenny Dalglish.
Dalglish does not feature.
No, I don't.
Scotland.
Do we leave this one hanging until a little bit later?
Yes.
Right. I mean, if that's the long way of saying, do you need more time? Then please, thanks.
Spot on.
Right. All right. So we'll take that one into injury time, I think, because Pride's been hurt. So So I think a wee bit of could you call it nostalgia because it was less than 2 weeks ago? But I think we should, as suggested by Glenn, I think we should dip into and I don't normally like this, but it was quite an emotional thing, I believe, and quite heartfelt about how the world reacted to Scotland qualifying finally for the World Cup. So what's your thoughts, Glenn?
Yeah, we shared that video. There's a fantastic video from the Scotland national team. You'll find it on YouTube, and it's 11 minutes of just pure joy. As I said to my friends, it goes like, if you don't have 11 minutes of just grinning watching this, go see your doctor, because you must be dead on the inside anyway. It was utterly fantastic. You had the 3 goals basically, and they were on repeat as various commentators from Brazil, Mexico. You had Canada, Serbia. There was Japan, South Korea, Italy, France, Norway, even. And it's just all the reactions. And then at the end of all that, there was always a Scottish one, and it was just pure joy. The world seemed to really, really enjoy the goals. Probably got a lot to do with how much was at stake in that game. It was winner takes all between Scotland and Denmark, and it swung from end to end. It looked like it's going to be the glorious failure again for us, but obviously we managed to do it. And no, it was just brilliant watching again. However, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was complaints put into the BBC.
Yes.
Over the I think there was 12 minutes of coverage on the BBC News of Scotland qualifying, and there was quite a lot of English folk had written in or emailed in saying basically that it's ridiculous. How can you? 12 minutes? Don't you know there's wars going on? There's famine. How can you put football up there? As I was saying, oh my God, we've had so many years of English success, etc., or English stories getting covered in our media. I couldn't believe the reaction anyway. The rest of the world seemed to enjoy it. What were you guys?
Well, I mean, I remember Clive Anderson on his show. He says, "Yeah, I've got a video here. It's called England World Cup 1966. Don't tell me what happened." So yeah, absolutely. We've been second class for so long and all the rest of it. And just, for me, I didn't expect it. So it was just, I think Scotland can be a brand, but the sheer emotion, you could hear it in all the commentators. That and the fact that there was 3 absolutely world-class goals. So I'll leave it in that, really, and hand it over to David. But yeah, there was a wee tear in my eye.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, I've got a picture of a signed picture of James McFadden scoring against France on that wall. And listen, he said all 3 of the goals that night were better than his, but his favourite was McTominay. McTominay has already had a street named after him in Naples, and he's about to have a pasta named after him.
So he's got a pizza and a shrine as well.
I mean, the guy just walks on water in that place, and quite rightly so. But going back to I think McTominay's become a word in every language on the planet since that goal's been scored. You listen to those commentators, they pronounce it differently, but they all mention McTominay, and it's just fantastic. God knows what the lad must feel like, and his family.
Yeah, I remember watching it as well. When they did the interviews afterwards, obviously it was on air for quite a wee while, etc. So we had quite a few drinks watching it and all that kind of stuff. But in the background, they had the 5 people. People were coming and going, getting interviewed. But I don't know if you saw, but for 30 minutes afterwards, okay, there was a lad going up and down, running past. You could just see him in the background. It's McTominay. That's how professional he is. He was doing his warm down. Watch it back. I was sitting there thinking, love of God, he's obviously got big games coming up for Napoli, etc. This is the end of the break. That's how serious he takes his career, and that's how professional he is. And I thought, hats off to you. Absolutely hats off to you. That's probably one of the biggest moments of your career, probably in your life. And you're doing that,
Did you see he scored another bicycle kick at the weekend? He scored again, a bicycle kick again. It was
he was man of the match.
But another one, you think, goodness gracious, unbelievable.
But you're thinking...
Well, he scored one to win the league for Napoli as well.
Yes, that's right. Aye, he scored a few.
They'll soon be talking about
the times
where he doesn't score with a bicycle kick. But I mean, back to your point, Glenn, it's like, when you see guys, and I know he's had issues, Lee Griffiths, mental health issues and all that, but you've absolutely got the rest of your days to sit in the booze with all your pals and talk about the good times. But right now he knows that it's time to make them good times. And he's obviously, I mean, you can hear in the way he talks, he's always thinking of other people, but genuinely put in the effort just now, and sit back and relax whenever, but just don't cut it too short, because you're not putting in everything. And it just seems, I'm I'm surprised he never scored in the warm down. Actually, to be honest, but we'll let him off for that one.
Yeah, he strikes me as the more you see of him, the more you hear of him, etc. And I think he's still 27, 28 kind of thing. He's looking after himself for the long term. Now, I'm not comparing him to Ronaldo or anything like that at all, but just in his preparation and the way that he looks after himself, you can easily say that in the past we've had players that are probably more naturally gifted than McTominay, but we probably haven't had many players. Maybe John Collins. He really looked after himself and put in all the work. But McTominay probably is the hardest working, applying with the talent, the balance he's got. You can see the fruit that it's bearing. What he's doing, when he first started the second season at Napoli, they actually targeted him, so he wasn't as effective. But you see as the season grows in, he's learned now how to cope with that. He's getting moved around a lot more, and he's scoring vital goals kind of thing all the time, And if he's not scoring, he's assisting or he's defending. Honestly, the guy is a model professional, coupled with the talent he's got. It's really good for us anyway.
It's refreshing, and selfishly, I hope he doesn't come back to the English Premier League just now, because we've got a few players dotted around there, and the more I think we've got in Italy, the better we're better served as the international team.
Yeah, no, totally.
So moving on then to you saw during the week, well, last night really, because none of our boys are in the Champions League anymore. But if you saw the games last night, the Celtic, Rangers, and Aberdeen games, I was wondering what your thoughts were on them.
Which one do you want to tackle first?
Glenn, on you go.
Yeah, it's to go with the I think Celtic were up first, weren't they? I think it was actually a really good performance. They've really they've benefited from Martin coming in. They were all over the shop kind of thing. It was looking like domestic form was off, and in Europe they were really struggling, and we printed as a country coefficient wise on them and Rangers for quite a wee while, and they were both off the mark. But Neil, I think that's the first win that's set away from home that Celtic have had in about 4.5 years. It could have went either way. That Feyenoord side, even though they're struggling a little bit in the league, they've got a lot of gifted players, And Celtic made a couple of mistakes, but they were clinical when they had to be, and that's a cracking win. I think I think come the weekend, I think it's Martin's final game. They're going to go into that full of confidence now off the back of that. It's looking good for them. I think they've still got a few games to go. I think they played 5, is it, in Europe? So they could actually, if they get it right, if the new guy comes in and he comes into with speed, they can actually maybe even qualify for one of the automatic slots. But they should definitely be in the playoffs if they carry on as they are. It was really, really good to watch, actually.
What about yourself, David?
I thought the Celtic performance was fantastic. No surprise, Martin O'Neill. I mean, he's done it already. He's a solid brain and a broad set of shoulders football-wise. Thankfully, Sunday's his last game. Unfortunately, it's against us. Can't see us coping with that if they play the same way. But who knows? Who knows? They did really, really, really well.
Well, for me, I mean, I just thought going a goal down in the Partizan crowd. I did like the fact that the ultras were banned, but they still managed to get some fireworks onto the park. I thought that was see if these guys can employ the same amount of endeavour in real life. There's literally be no stopping these guys. These guys would be sort of think tanks for really, really successful businesses, but they've chosen to throw their hat in the ring as being an ultra. Don't know
Chris,
why.
they probably are.
Well, again, it could be the release, because this myth. You're right, David. This myth about fit by casuals all being knuckle draggers. Maybe they are knuckle draggers for 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday. But you're right. Other times,
I think if you've got technology to launch these kind of devices from outside the stadium to land in the stadium, I suspect there's a bit of brain power behind that somewhere along the line. Not to mention money.
Aye, well, that's they've invested in the club. I suppose that's the way they'd probably look at it. But I mean, I'm always worried because I used to mess about with fireworks when I was younger, but you literally could take somebody's eye out, But I'm certainly glad nobody's eye was taken out for that game, because for me, I think it was a game where Hatate decided to show up, and the way he took that goal, he didn't hesitate. For me, I would have gone forward and tried to make sure, but the guy just I think he just needs a bit of consistency, and he would be a world beater. But you don't really know. But I thought there was a nice throwback to the Henrik Larsson when that Nguyen scored, the Swedish guy, and the tongue came out. So I thought, we can copy the master.
I didn't understand what the game is. A couple of times they mentioned that there are 10,000 fans down for some reason. I don't know why that was the case.
No, not I. I would imagine it's fan trouble. There's there's a lot of a lot of the games you've seen reduced capacities. So it could well be that. I totally agree with you though about Hatate. That's the first time I've seen him this season actually properly show up. His pressing of the goalkeeper, was really good.
Maida.
Oh, sorry, it's Maida. Sorry, yeah, you're right, absolutely. And he got 2 assists in the game. It was good to see, not as an Aberdeen fan, but as if you appreciate football, him being back on it was definitely good. I mean, is it the man management of Martin? I don't know. Will he still be there under the new manager? I don't know. A few of them have said they're expecting to maybe go, or they've hinted they might want out by January, and there'll definitely be changes. But no, it was a solid performance. It's good to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, the coefficient, we all benefit for that, really. But yeah, there was a few Celtic players showed, and obviously Carter Vickers, he's out for donkeys now, so they're going to have to make do with what they've got in that. Well, I suppose moving on then to move on, I suppose, stay in the Europa. Moving on to Rangers then. Did you get a chance to see it, David?
No, I didn't. I only saw the Celtic game.
Right.
I didn't see the Rangers game. I saw the result, obviously.
Aye.
And I saw that Tavernier's now equalled McCoist's European goal scoring record. That's hard to believe, really. But
well, again, ironic. Well, aptly enough, he achieved it through a penalty. So I mean,
yes, indeed,
he's standing on the shoulders of giants. So, aye. What about yourself, Glenn?
Well, I don't know. I think McCoist isn't exactly a giant. He's 5'8" or something. But no, I saw the highlights only. I was at Pittodrie. So, for my sins on a very, very cold night. But came home, watched that. I thought, they've got, under the new manager, Rangers they've kind of like, they've got some things going, but they're ropey at the back. Suter's out, and there's another defender out as well. There's a new partnership there, and the guy flicks the head on. Basically, it's an assist for Braga. I was a bit disappointed with Braga. Given what they'd done in Europe before as well, I thought they'd be more dominant. I thought Rangers, it was a decent kind of performance. They could have got more out of it, especially when Braga went down to 10 men. I know there was a sending off late on for Rangers as well, which equalised it. But they didn't really take advantage of it. And I'm with you as well on Tav. Statistically, you look at it and say, oh, he's joint top scorer in Europe with McCoist, but they're night and day. Goals that they've scored.
Well, I mean, see, to be honest, Giga's getting blamed for the defensive header, but essentially Tavernier was miles off his man, and it's in the box. The ball's coming across. The ball could go anywhere, and Tavernier because I think Giga, for Rangers, he's become like the new Grant Hanley. Something went wrong. Well, if you throw that name out, the chances are you'll be right. But I think with Giga, as a rule, he's a bad player. And there's a few of them in the team, like Dimitri, 1 goal in 600 minutes of football, and he's shushing the doubters, and you're like, yeah, mate, just do that by scoring more than 1 goal in 600 minutes of football. So, if anybody was to ask my opinion, I think they need more young Scottish guys in the team. Connor Barron, he played out his skin, and for me, it seems as if there doesn't seem to be any accountability with these other guys that come in. They'll turn up, and I think the more young Scottish lads, when Roll gets a chance in January, I'm hoping that he goes down that route to a certain extent, but obviously it depends on who he can get rid of, and I don't think there'll be Rascan, obviously, I don't think there'll be too many people chat him on the door. But back to sort of qualification chances, I don't know if you know, but they're on 1 point and -7 goal difference. So I think we can more or less say it's sayonara to Rangers in Europe.
Yeah, I think they'd have to. I think they've got 3 remaining matches. They'd have to win all 3, and and hope that things go their own way. We'll be discussing Aberdeen obviously next as well.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I was going to say that brings us quite nicely into Aberdeen. But you paid your money and took your chance. So how did you feel when they eventually got a chance?
It was a weird game. So we were right down near the front. For us being so engaged and so close to it, it felt a lot better than I think the people, what the product that they saw back home watching it on TNT. I mean, there weren't really many opportunities. Aberdeen scored with their, basically their first shot on target, but they'd created a few chances before that. Just fairly hapless with it. That goal in itself, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was, it came from. Honestly, a really, really good ball down to Toppy, and then Toppy showing some strength that I've not seen before. And then the spin by Nisbet in the box and the finish, is really, really good just before half time. Not when Aberdeen or Scottish teams normally score, etc. And then they came out in the second half, came out a bit flat, conceded. Jimmy made some changes, and to be honest, I don't think any of the changes actually made us any better. We took off Loban. He'd been playing really well. We took off the energy from midfield. Love Shinnie, but Shinnie and Stuart Armstrong in the centre of the park. I mean, they are getting on a bit. And when you're chasing the game, when you're actually wanting to create something, and you've got to go, you've got to go forward. You've got to get back and defend as well. It leaves you exposed. Unfortunately, the changes didn't work, and we walked away from Pittodrie really, really disappointed. They were a decent side, but it was a game that Aberdeen could have won, and it really was a game that Aberdeen probably had to win. We've got 2 games left. We're sitting on 2 points. We've got Strasbourg at home. They're second top, I think, in the Conference League. You actually have to beat them and win the game against, is it Sparta Prague? And that's away. The chances when you, what we've done, 2 points out of a possible 12, it's not looking very good. I mean, it looks like, it'll only be Celtic in Europe.
Probably. I mean, just some of the things that happened. I mean, I thought Keskinen, he nearly set up the first goal for them quite early. He seemed quite, he was wanting to do too much at the one time, and just I think the result of that was that's what happened. And I suppose Devlin came close, but Milanovic, the one further later in the game, I just thought, I say it every week, you've got to go across the keeper, mate. Going past his post, it's just that the chances just gone. It didn't really, it didn't make the keeper work. What about yourself, Stuart? Did you get a chance to see the highlights?
David.
Yes,
David.
I saw the highlights.
Armstrong in the brain.
And I think Glenn summed it up perfectly for me based on the highlights I saw. I think that's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but I think Celtic will be the only team left probably shortly.
Chris, when you say Milanovic as well, that guy, I've seen him play in the A-League, seen all the highlights. He scores bags of goals. He's also, assists. He's great going forward, etc. But he just looks like he is bereft of any kind of confidence. Thing is, fans, I think, they're going to have to be patient with him. He's travelled halfway around the world. He's left his family behind. He's very, very young. You got to remember, he's A-League player of the season. He is quality. He's been called up to the Australian national team as well, who, by the way, I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but they're overjoyed with Scotland just now. Scotland knocking Denmark out, basically, in qualifying for the World Cup, bumped Australia up from the top of pot 3 into the bottom of pot 2. So they've got a much easier World Cup now, all thanks to Scotland. So they were saying that they want us, they want Canada, and they want New Zealand for their perfect World Cup group. And I was looking at it thinking, you know what? I think all 4 countries would love that group. We could all win it, or we could all lose it, kind of thing, but we'd all have a good time as well. It'd be a brilliant World Cup, and we'd be based in Canada. Fantastic. But anyway, I think he just needs a bit more time. He needs to get a goal, needs a bit of confidence, give him a run out in maybe some of the, not reserve games, but like some of the friendly, some of the Highland League stuff, just get some minutes under there and get him scoring.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the dash into a 20-yarder off his hen end, and then suddenly he comes alive. But I mean, these Aussie guys don't like the confidence. But you're talking about us winning bumped Australia up to pot 2. You're thinking, well, surely why did that not bump us up to pot 2? But obviously I'm letting the emotions run me in there. But I mean, I suppose looking at before the game's kicked off on Thursday night, I thought Aberdeen might have nicked it, but apart from that, it was more or less what I expected. It wasn't, and the coefficient just now. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look. I don't really, to be honest.
It's a horror story. We're sitting about 18th or 19th. I haven't checked what the results from last night did to it, kind of thing. Mainly because it's just depressing. We will have 5 teams in Europe next season, but those 5 teams, all of them will have to go through so many matches. There's nobody getting direct entry to any groups anymore. I went from like being a bit of a stat nerd with the coefficient and looking at it all the time, thinking we need this and blah blah blah. But you look at it. So when Hearts got in direct into the group as well, they missed out. I think they got 2 wins and a draw, and were the only team that had 7 points that didn't go through because of their goal difference. Aberdeen probably will. They might pick up a win and a draw and still won't go through. None of us, bar Celtic and Rangers, have done a few times in the past, etc. But none of us are doing enough when we get in anyway automatically. So maybe it's the wake up call we need. Maybe we need to look at it. If we don't get through these qualification matches, we just purely and simply don't deserve to be there. Harsh, but
well, it's true. I mean, yeah, but we're rapidly falling off a cliff as far as I can see. But I don't know, David. Do you think maybe Hibs might come in next year and up the ante?
Possibly
lower the ante.
I think. I think all the teams suffer from, because they don't get through these stages. They don't attract the players necessary to actually do something. If you do get through, I think that's a double-edged sword. But Hibs, I'd like to think they'd be one of the 5 teams, but who knows? What after? Who knows? I mean, we got lucky this year. Well, got lucky. We played well in the games we played, but not, as Glenn says, not good enough to get through. I don't know. That's a conundrum, without a shadow of a doubt.
David, when you said that just now about the players, etc. So Noah, we got a horrific draw. They actually they worked out. We got the worst. Aberdeen got the worst draw of any club in the Conference League. Typical Scottish kind of stuff. But so Noah were the most winnable game, etc. But if you look at the Noah squad, I think they took a squad of 18, and 15 of those players were Brazilian, Portuguese, basically non-Armenian. I mean, some of the touches they had, some of the passing of the ball, etc., instant control, instant passing, etc. They cut us open quite a few times with just really, really one-touch movement, and it's very incisive. So yeah, you're right. It's the balance of bringing the players in that have got the quality to help you get through into the group stages, etc.
Yep.
But also retaining and developing Scottish players that could also be equally good. I mean, we moan about not getting Scottish players, young Scottish players, minutes, etc. And on the other hand, they need to get enough experience. They need to get the experience, but they need to be good enough to get us into these games and these situations. It is a conundrum, and I haven't got the solution. I don't know who has.
I mean, I'm just wondering politically, is it some big oil magnate or whatever that just throwing money at this team? I mean,
yeah, I think that's it. He's some rich guy's got an awful lot of money to throw at it to try and be the best they can manage.
Well, I mean, Aberdeen, I suppose, but your sort of thought about the non-Armenian players. I mean, if you look at Shakhtar, they were doing that with Brazilians.
Yeah,
the Ukrainian team 10 years ago. I mean, I remember Anil on his first time playing against Shakhtar, and they were just full of Brazilian guys, just chasing the bucks. So I don't know. I mean, you mentioned oil, Aberdeen and oil. You'd think there'd be a bit of money flying about, but apparently not to the Aberdeen team, sadly. But yeah, probably move on.
I was going to say, the hard thing is, though, so Shakhtar have been doing it for years, etc. Yeah. But these clubs, they still develop their own players. I mean, you look at their national team is decent. We've had accusations that Celtic and Rangers don't develop players, or they snatch up some young Scottish players and don't play them, How do other countries get that balance where their top clubs can perform in Europe with lots of foreign players and just a few of their own decent players, but yet still have other clubs developing players that are good enough for the national team, etc. It's a conundrum.
Can I suggest most of the European leagues aren't dominated by a duopoly of two teams from the same city, and they manipulate that to suit their own needs.
Yeah, well, the big guys always do that. But I think until they get into England, then it's just going to be. I mean, if you look at Celtic, if they got like Cowan sometimes gets a game, McGregor, obviously Tierney's back now, so they're looking at 3 or maybe 4. But I don't know if you want to introduce quotas, because obviously you want the best people for the job, but there has to be some way of following it. But yeah, at the moment we're falling, sadly short.
Scotland used to do a lot better. When I think it was the early 90s is when they got rid of it. But there used to be like a 3 foreigner rule. It went against EU competition and all that kind of stuff. That's why they did get rid of it. Yeah. But it did mean that clubs actually developed their own players. You look prior to 92, 93, etc. You look at the success that Aberdeen had, Dundee United had, Celtic and Rangers. That's the period when we actually developed our players and we won in Europe. They put the time and the money into actually bringing kids through, etc., and giving them game time. And those kids being good enough to actually go and play at elite level. But it changed. You look at the 90s, suddenly started spending a lot of money on non-UK based players. I mean, Rangers started it in the late 80s. I think you were allowed to buy, you could have English players, you could have Welsh, you could have Northern Irish, etc. Basically UK players. The rest of the clubs mostly had Scottish players. But they changed that rule, and it's just, it's backward steps for Scotland anyway.
Well, I think the downside it was that you're talking about bringing on young players, and the downside was that they just didn't get enough. I think they initially started, but they just didn't get enough time. That was the thing. It was like, well, okay, we've gone so far, but we'll bring in Billy Bloggs for abroad, tried and tested, and I think that was definitely the knock-on effect. We're still feeling it today, but there's no doubt. I mean, any of the teams up the top in Scotland. I mean, Dundee United. You mentioned them. If you look at them just now, you would. There's no Eamon Bannon or Ralph Milne or David Neary. Well, obviously you hope no, because they wouldn't be that good right enough. But if they're playing them right now, but I think if we could get back to that, that'd be good. But it's football. It's it's this knee-jerk reaction. We need a result yesterday, so I think it's more in hope than anything that we're looking at. And talking of hope, are we going to revert to the quiz question, or are we moving on to a new one?
Yeah, okay, so guys, I'll give you a wee refresher. So you got Alan McCoist anyway. It was 4 Scottish male players have been the European Cup Champions League season's top scorer. 2 playing for Scottish clubs. You've got McCoist as one. 2 playing for English clubs. But who are those players and who are those clubs? Final guesses, guys.
How do you know it's a guess?
Charlie Nicholas, Celtic.
Who?
He played for Aberdeen, if I remember rightly, Mr. Nicholas.
Oh, Charlie Nicholas. Ooh,
Charlie
good
Nicholas,
shout.
Celtic days.
But no. So I'll give you some clues just to help. Okay. So one of the English guys did it in the late 60s with an English team that were really successful. One of the Scottish guys did it with obviously a Scottish club in the early 70s. So think of a club. This guy, by the way, he went south after this. And the other one, English club, he did it with a successful English club in the early 80s.
Got to be Liverpool.
Honestly.
2 became managers.
Ooh.
And those 2 are both from Glasgow.
Is it Dalglish?
No. That's the default answer today, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. He's a fair player, though.
Oh, he's a cracking player.
I know it's no Duncan Ferguson, because that's far too.
No, can't be, surely.
Yeah. No, definitely not. No. To put you out your misery?
Wasn't it Steve Archibald, was it?
No. Cracking player as well. Aberdeen to Tottenham to Barcelona. So, first one, the best player, Dennis Law. Man U, 9 goals. Yeah. Followed up. He's the only one that was a solo. He was out in front by himself. Lou McCartney at Celtic with 5.
Really? Wow.
In 71, 72. And Souness with Liverpool. 6 in 81, 82. So, next question.
Great question.
Right. Between 1995 and 2008, UEFA ran which tournament? A summer competition for sides that had not qualified for other European competitions, with the clubs progressing the furthest, qualifying for the UEFA Cup. And which side appeared the most in it from Scottish clubs? So, what competition ran from 95 to 2008? It was a summer tournament, and basically, if you went quite far in it, you actually then it meant you qualified for the UEFA Cup. And which Scottish club appeared in it the most?
It's not 10 at 60s, is it?
That's back as a Masters, and we're reigning champions.
Yeah, half these players weren't good when they were young. Summer tournament, so obviously it's not the Cup Winners' Cup then.
No.
That's aye.
Be some pre-Nations League thing, probably.
It's pre-Nations League. If I remember rightly, a couple of English clubs have won it. I think Fulham won it.
Is it Intertoto?
Aye, that's it. Bang on.
Aye, well done.
So now, the only question is, which Scottish club appeared in this the most? So this is like, so which Scottish club has basically failed to qualify for Europe proper and went in through the back door?
Dundee United.
Okay. Chris?
Right, well, I'm guessing it's no Dundee United. So...
Could be.
Good. Okay. There's no point in me guessing, but that... St Mirren.
Nope. David, it's Hibs.
Is it really? Well, there you go.
Yeah, 04, 06 and 08. The other two clubs, actually, only two clubs did it, Partick Thistle and Dundee.
Oh, really? Crikey.
Thank God nobody's recording this. Yeah, well, and that successful note, will we move swiftly onwards on to Glenn's specialist subject, which is the Euro Curling Championships.
Wouldn't you call it my special subject? But I love curling, like Nori does too. So it's the European Championships. They're going on in Finland just now. It's one of the few sports that we're actually quite good at. But I should actually say, now that I've said that, we will the men, Bruce Smowatt's rink, the reigning world champions, etc. They've won so many Grand Slams, it's unreal. They went into this tournament as favourites. They've absolutely blasted their way through it. They won every single match in the round robin, but in typical Scottish style. When they got the semi-finals, they went and blown it, and they've lost to Sweden. So they're now going for the bronze match. That will be, I think, that on tomorrow morning, early on. And then the lassies, they're the complete polar opposites. They went in and they struggled. I think they lost the first four, and you're thinking this is it for them. But they rallied. They managed to win the last three in a row and just scraped in to the semi-finals, where they went and beat Sweden, and they're in the final. And that's on tomorrow as well. It's on the BBC, guys. It's honestly, it's a long watch, but it's really, really entertaining, really good fun. And it's nice to promote what should be at least one of our national sports as well. It doesn't get enough coverage.
I think I saw, I'm not just going for the negatives, but am I right in thinking they get beat 9-0 off of Turkey? The women?
Yeah, you'll be surprised. The countries that now play curling. I think Nigeria have got a team as well now.
Seriously?
Yeah. That's it. See, these countries, they've probably got cheap electricity and they can pay it. Our rinks are closing down, but they're actually expanding.
Aye. Well, there you go. Probably, ironically enough, solar powered or something like that. So I think now, I don't know if you want to do another quiz question, or we can move on to this week's games.
Only got one left, quiz wise, so maybe leave that to hang over at the end. Do you think?
Perfect.
Aye, good point. Right. So we've got this weekend's games in. So there's full card as usual. Starting off with Dundee against St Mirren. So what's your thoughts on that, David?
I think St Mirren will probably win. I don't think Dundee are in a great place at the moment. St Mirren are in a good place, so I would imagine that'd be a comfortable win for St Mirren.
Right. Well, what about yourself, Glenn?
Oh, these two teams on horrendous runs. You're right, David, about St Mirren being in a better place. They're playing well, but just not getting the results. I think, well, Dundee have got 1 win in 6, and actually St Mirren are worse. They've got 1 draw in 6, but obviously, they're in the final of the of the cup. I mean, they're playing well, and they've been really, really unlucky as well in some of their matches. I think it should be, if the teams turn up. I mean, Presley's under a lot of pressure. 11th, I think Livy are just 1 point off them, and they're picking up points here and there. Dundee are in real danger of going down. I think there's a few managers in the Premier League. The chairmans will be looking at him saying, like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to give him. And I think Presley's definitely one of them. I can't see beyond St Mirren in this game. They've got good attacking options, and and Dundee are just not scoring. They're not getting results at all. What about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Celtic result was just an absolute. I think it was more people were just in the team were fed up with Brendan Rodgers, to be honest. But I've used the word with Dundee quite a lot. I don't take any pleasure in it, but just free fall. Honestly, if he's old enough to remember Reggie Perrin, I just feel as if Presley one day will just go right, just literally do a Stevie Patterson and end up in the boot of a motor or something, just trying to get out, because they just. I don't see that. I don't see that going any other way. And I mean, obviously, St Mirren, have been unlucky recently, but hard luck stories don't really wash with me. But I think it's the cup final that if nothing else, they've got that massive inspiration for that, and the guys try to get in a team. So I'm guessing probably 2-0 Dundee, 2-0 St Mirren. Sorry, she's nearly spat at my falsers there. So I am guessing a 2-0 for the cup finalists. And then so moving on to the team that wouldn't say destroyed Hibs during the week. I think Hibs tried to destroy themselves, but it's Motherwell against Hearts. So what's your thoughts on that, David?
Yeah, it should be a good game. No, I don't think Motherwell destroyed us, but we didn't do ourselves any favours, particularly in the first 20 minutes. But I think Motherwell are a competent team. I think they'll give Hearts a good run for the money. And I think, given that both Edinburgh clubs have had a wake-up call this week, I think I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw.
Right.
Okay.
Controversial. What about yourself, Glenn?
Well, I'm looking forward. This is the kind of game I actually wish it was on a Sunday and it was being broadcast, or late on a Saturday kind of thing. I don't want to jinx it, but I mean, the last time they played was amazing. I mean, I think Motherwell went 3-0 up. And you're thinking, all right, Hearts had started well, and you're thinking this could be the blip in them, and then they fought back. I think Braga got 2, and it was a really good fight back, and they finished with a point. It was really hard earned, but it was really entertaining. Both teams really going for it, and it's like so much at stake here. Hearts, how did they? What's the mentality like? So they lost to Aberdeen. They were minus a few players like Shankland, etc. Are they going to turn up? Or are they, they're talking the talk, the usual kind of thing. They're saying like it's just a blip. We're going to rock up. One defeat doesn't mean anything, kind of thing. Just watch us go, kind of thing. And they have been good, but the last few league outings has not been good. They've dropped a lot of points lately, and that defeat against Aberdeen, and Aberdeen are fairly poor. And that hurts me to say it. That's and we were Aberdeen were minus Carlson as well, who is probably the most creative player they've got. So it wasn't just one-sided, the players that were missing. I don't know. I really like Motherwell that they've built. You remember the first few games? I think 3-4 games they just weren't getting results, but they're playing really attractive football. Yeah. And everyone's saying, "Oh, it'll come," and it has come. I think that's 4 wins in 6, and every game, even when they're unlucky, they've played nice football. And I like the mantra from the manager as well. He says, we stay humble, we stay hungry, but not greedy, and he says, he's a strict disciplinarian in the club, the players tidy up after themselves, etc. in the canteen, all this kind of stuff. He seems to have built a mentality in there. He's built a team. The players play for each other. They never stop going at it. They press really well. I think that was one of the issues that Hibs had with them. Motherwell at one point there was packs around them. There was no options for the where could they pass the ball? It was and they gave it up. I'm almost inclined to say that it's going to be 2-1 Motherwell. In fact, that's how I'm going to go. 2-1 Motherwell.
Right. Well, I mean, for me, I think one of the most important things is McInnes. He's never too, he's never too high or too down. So I don't recently dropping points. That was always going to happen, I think. And if it hadn't been Aberdeen, it could have been, if they'd beaten Aberdeen, it could have been Motherwell this weekend. So I don't think McInnes is one to panic. He'll steady the ship, and they've got goals in them. But I'm hoping it's going to be a great game for the fans. I think there will be goals in it, to be honest. Maybe 2 each. I'd go for 2 each, and that keeps things just ticking nicely. And Hearts don't need to win the next 6 games or anything like that. They're still. I think the biggest challenge will be in come January for Hearts. So here's hoping they're still in about it then. So next game we've got. So Kettlewell Kelly against Dundee United. What's your thoughts on that, Glenn?
Oh, I'm feeling for Kettlewell. I'm feeling for the Kelly fans. What's that? Six defeats in a row. That is shocking league form. When I mentioned earlier about there's some managers and chairmen, they'll be looking at each other and the chairman thinking, well, is it time for him to go? Kettlewell's is the biggest candidate there. 0 points out of a possible 18. The Killie fans are not impressed. They've taken the social media. They're saying they're basically calling this match a must-win match. They've played Dundee United twice, I think, and they beat them twice. So they're putting their hopes on this. They're completely out of form. They have created a few chances, but they're not finishing anything. And I know Dundee United are having a bit of a wobble as well, because they had a great start to the season, and lots of people were talking up Jim Goodwin and how he'd assembled the team and the results they were getting. So they're probably seeing this as their most winnable game. If Kettlewell's team doesn't get a win here, I think it's time up for them. So they're how do they react to that kind of pressure? It's that question. You talked about Dundee and Celtic and some of the players not really showing up for Rodgers. And and Dundee beat them. And that was out of the blue. No one saw Dundee coming. Well, we certainly didn't see it. That result, I think it was 2-0. Will it be something similar? Are the Killie players thinking to themselves, they're professionals, so they should always give everything. But we know it's what life's like. Sometimes things get in the way, and they're not enjoying where they're working or whatever, and they say, well, this could change it if we get a new manager. And so will they hang him out to dry? Will Dundee United turn up and find Killie not performing or giving as much as they would normally? I don't know. I think this is. I fear for Killie, in the current state. I think this is a Dundee United win. I'm going to go 2-0 Dundee United.
Right. Well, I mean, for me, players now they wield far too much power. So if they genuinely want Kettlewell out the door, then he doesn't need to leave of his own accord. So if they want to engineer that, they absolutely could. But what about yourself, David?
I tend again to think Glenn's probably correct. I don't see. Yeah, I think Kettlewell's probably a goner, even if he wins. I just don't see him staying there long term. I think Dundee United got a far greater capacity to perform well on the day than Killie have at the moment. So I would think it will be a 7th loss, and that could spell disaster.
Yeah, I mean, 7 in a row, anything's pretty bad. But I think Killie are going to be my Dundee of the Celtic piece. And well, I mean, they've got the artificial grass and all the rest of it. So now I'm thinking maybe he might mix things up, because I mean, it's a dangerous man is somebody with nothing to lose. So he might just mix it up and say, right, lads, here's your start. So I think I'll go a wee sneaky Killie 1, Dundee United 0. That's
interesting.
Yes, you could well be right. I don't think United have won there in 7 visits. And lots of teams struggle at Rugby Park. So it could well be, it just, for me, they just seem zero confidence. They're spiraling, But yeah, we get our predictions wrong all the time. So you're probably right, Chris.
Well, I don't know. We'll need to start. You can actually watch the video back. I think I'll start doing that and do like a Sunday nights results thing. behind the couch.
End of the season, we'll be on 0 points. No predictions right.
Exactly. Won the European song competition, but yeah,
all sharing the wooden spoon.
What might be worthwhile doing that actually. We could add a bit of comedy to
It'd be good fun.
Our unique insights, and there's a good reason why they're unique. But moving on to Sunday's game. So we've got the All Green affair there. We've got Hibs there licking their wounds after Motherwell and Celtic. Obviously the Euro, the much talked about Euro hangover. So I think we need to go directly over to David this one then.
Well, in trepidation, fear, I can't see Hibs getting anywhere near Celtic after that performance from both of them in the last match. I think they just got too much firepower, and Martin O'Neill's last game, they'll want to go out on a high for him, I'm quite sure. So I think we'll probably lose by a couple.
No goals at all? You don't think we'll get among the goals?
Well, possibly. If he changes the team, I think Boyle needs to come out, and maybe guy front Clegy needs to have maybe, possibly, but I still think we'll lose by a couple.
Right. Well, I mean, they didn't have they didn't have to come too far back for Europe. They weren't going to Azerbaijan or anything like that. But there's still, there still might be a few. Who knows? Some of them might get injured by fireworks.
Possibly, aye. I doubt it, but possibly.
They'll get a rocket up there. And then, what do you think, Glenn?
I'm with David in this one. I can't really see anything other than a Celtic victory. I mean, watching the game against Motherwell, Motherwell were good. I mean, they weren't like majestic. They weren't like, like bossing it completely. But Hibs were a bit porous at the back, and they're missing Hanley, I think. Yeah, he was sent off. So I don't know who they put in there. So it'll be an untied partnership at the back. Celtic Celtic just seem to be getting into their stride a little bit, and it is O'Neill's farewell game. So I think, they'll be trying really hard anyway. They're wanting to put pressure on the Hearts. They'll be, they see maybe a blip coming from them. So it's a victory for Celtic. It's by how many? I'll go 2-0.
2-0, same as David. But obviously Hibs aren't they turning up, waking up in the morning saying, do you know what I think we'll do? We'll give Martin O'Neill a decent send off. I don't know, against Motherwell, they just, there was a lot of uncertainty, I thought, and when you see the position Hibs are in the league, you're thinking, they should have been a bit strong. Even basic things like just talking to each other. But the midfield, the fullback isn't saying to the midfielder, I'm not on, and the guy doesn't hear a shout, so he passes it back, and it turns out it goes to one of them. And it was a clumsy game. But I think Hibs will be there to upset, but probably go down by the odd goal, maybe 2-1 to Celtic. I'm thinking Martin O'Neill can sail off into the sunset. Certainly wouldn't have been thinking this would have been his life 5 weeks ago, So I would go 2-1 Celtic, and now we've got I would say they're never the original banana skins, but I think this one's it's got banana skin written all over it. Rangers against Falkirk. So Glenn, what do you think?
Wow, yeah, I think it's been an intriguing game. The Rangers on a bit of a roll, as far domestically, they've strung 4 together. But Falkirk, difficult, really, really difficult. And McGlynn will come and he'll have a right good go at them. And they've got Suter and Cornelius, I think it is, that are both out. So that, it's not untested now. That's 2 games in a row that Fernandez and Deja have played, and they've not inspired confidence, So, in my opinion, Rangers will concede. Will they concede a few? I don't know. McGlynn has made a good start with Falkirk, probably better than he could have anticipated coming into the Premier League. They're sitting there in the top 6, and their performances have justified it. It's not like you're looking at them thinking, they've got lucky or they've scraped it. In some matches, they've been unlucky. I have a sneaky suspicion this might be the first domestic defeat for Rangers under the new manager. I am going to go with 2-1 to Falkirk.
Right, 2-1. That's out there. But Falkirk, I've been saying it. If you rewind it and daft enough to watch me talk, I've been saying Falkirk are a right good team. Plenty of goals in them for a lot of different players. So there's they're going to come at them. But what about yourself, David?
I think it'll be a really interesting match. I think Falkirk can definitely score, which makes it a possible banana skin. My fear as a Hibs fan, as always, is that if it's a 1-1 situation, there'll be the odd penalty controversially awarded. But I think I've got a funny feeling it's going to be a draw. I think McGlynn is going to get something out there. A 1-1 draw.
Chris, to be fair, I hadn't actually thought about that. Do we know if Brother Beaton is the referee?
That's the thing, isn't it? You forget about the team lineup. You're just looking for the referee, you know.
Yeah, because if he's the ref, it's 3-1 Rangers. But if he's not the ref, I'm sticking with 2-1 to Falkirk.
But I don't think it'll be a penalty. I think it'll be a beaten hand of God sort of
Another one
there.
He'll
you know, the ball will come across and he'll just finish it. So I don't know. No, like Gija, he's an absolute. You know, and sometimes he gets, like in Thursday night there, he get blamed for going up for a header, no clearing it. That's fine. But Tavernier should have been on his man. So that wasn't his fault. But he's just you don't know what you're going to get. And they'll never miss Suter more. You know, Cornelius Sai, but Suter, they'll never miss him more. So Falkirk could definitely score. And what? All right, I'll go for it. I'll go for 2-1 Falkirk. Then Rangers are, you know, they're really, really fragile at the back, and Asgard and that. You know, these guys that come in with the semi-decent price tags, and I know he's Norwegian, but Scouse guy, you know, shouting the mouth off as opposed to just letting the plane doing the talking. So yeah, okay, I'll go for it then. 2-1 Falkirk with Beaton getting the Rangers goal. That's my impartial Alistair McAllister summary of that one. So we're up to the final game now. We're doing well for time as well, lads. Thanks for that. And so it's Liv against Aberdeen. And I'll go for David.
I think Aberdeen are going to win. I think they're going to get better as time goes on, and I think Livy, although playing well in my opinion, I think that they're going to hit sticks at some point in at least one game. So I've got a feeling that Aberdeen could win 2-0.
2-0. Right. Yourself, Glenn?
I'm praying that David's right. Aberdeen scoring 2 goals. My God. Happy days. I don't know. I mean, I touched on Beaton before. And I've said this for years, okay? I mean, I reckon that the SFA need to get, they need to adopt what the other leagues do, like such as England, etc. The referees need to declare their allegiance, and then should not take charge of a match where their club is involved. It's been going on for a long time. That was a definite penalty for Livy against Rangers last week. That should have been a draw for them. They really, really hard done by. They actually played really well in that game. I mean, they only had about 27, 28% possession, but they matched Rangers completely. Both had 9 shots, two shots on target for both of them, etc. I mean, Livy, this will be a tough match for Aberdeen. But I do actually think that they might scrape it. We're starting to play a bit better. Carlson is back. We're defending better, although the free header on Thursday was just shocking. But never mind. If Aberdeen are going to win it, it'll be 1-0, I think. And it's not going to be a match to like pay lots of money and sit and watch kind of thing, unless you're a fan. I'll go 1-0 Aberdeen.
Right. Well, I think that artificial pitch will come into it. And obviously, Livy will be smarting about the last game, but for me, it's just a case of where's the goals going to come from? You know, if there's going to be these players. I mean, even Nisbet, you know, it gets in it, but he should be stepping up. And Armstrong, you know, you're thinking, well, get some for long range or whatever. But I don't see a lot of goals right now. And for Aberdeen, I'm not really worried about that. But it's just win with the odd goal. But I'm thinking a 1-1 draw. I'd go for that. And that brings us up just nicely to wrapping up the show and the final question there, Glenn.
Yeah, right, guys. Well, European week, okay? So here we go. Scottish clubs have triumphed in UEFA competitions 4 times. But which clubs did they beat in each of the finals? So Scottish clubs have won in UEFA competitions 4 times. But which clubs did they beat in each of those finals? What do we reckon, guys?
Real Madrid and Milan. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, those two. I think it's the other two that the old grey cells.
You've got 2 out of 4. You're bang on with those two guys. Celtic beat Inter Milan 2-1. Aberdeen beat Real Madrid 2-1.
Yeah.
Dundee United lost against Gothenburg.
Yes.
Rangers beat. Was it a Dutch team? Was it?
No, but Rangers are one of the clubs. Yep. Who did they beat? It was the Cup Winners' Cup that they won.
Well, that's way back in 71.
Yes, 71, 72, I think. Yeah, 72. Yeah.
Oh, gee whiz. Can't think of top of my head. Good question again.
Right.
Nice one to hang, eh?
Lovely one to hang.
And is the other team Dunfermline?
No, Chris, it's Aberdeen.
It's Aberdeen, aye.
Only side to win 2 European trophies.
Oh, Hamburg guy, of course. Hamburg, right. I was thinking
bang on with Hamburg. We should leave it there. That leaves 1 to go.
Right, because I was thinking the Fairs Cup, right? So that's why I said Dunfermline, I think. But right, okay. I did Archie, of course, right. So we'll leave it there then till this time next week, 6 o'clock. Stramash. Okay, then. Well, listen. Thanks very much for joining us, David and Glenn, for the wee look upon Scotland's qualification.
Absolute pleasure.
Yourself, David.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Have a nice weekend, guys.
Thanks. We'll see you next week, 6 o'clock, Stramash Sports Show. All the best.
Cheers.